My new website's been getting a lot of attention lately, and here's my secret. I used Wix Harmony. It's one of my favorite tools because it feels like such a natural way to create, and I have so much control over my website. I can just tell Aria, my AI agent, to create whatever I'm imagining in my head, or I can click anywhere on my site and change things myself. Try it for free at wix.com/harmony. That's wix.com/harmony.
Me again. Hey, it's now, you took my sign. Inside Georgia Real Estate.
Yes, it is.
I'm Shelley Winter.
I'm Deborah Morton.
And I'm here with Deborah Morton from the agency Atlanta. No, Shelley's letting me fill in here too. So
we get all of Dave all day.
Yeah, we were thinking along the same line. So it's good to see you again.
Yes.
I figured if I had to be on this much, you had to be on this much because you were doing my show this morning.
It was
helping
fun.
out.
And now you're helping me.
You're such a fun person to talk to about real estate.
We don't know where Shelley's off having fun, but we wish him
sure
well.
Somewhere. Yes. Yeah. Hope he never comes back. No.
So if you missed it this morning, Dave and I had all kinds of interesting conversations about construction materials, building supplies.
Had the Randall Brothers.
Yes.
Tom Wynn was on from
We
Randall
covered
Brothers.
siding, decks, windows, all of the things that I get to deal with every day in the real estate world.
All the questions I had for him, I used. All the questions I had for you, I saved. Once I realized what we were doing, I was like, oh, that'll sound better at 1 o'clock.
Excellent.
Oh, that'll sound better at 1 o'clock.
And I'm sure it's all things that people want to know about.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody always wants to know, how's the market?
It's all positive. Yeah. Number 2, question number 1. How's the market? No, actually, that's 3. I want to get something down that always kind of sticks in my craw because I can't remember and I don't understand it.
I remember how much you dislike realtors, so let's do it.
No,
let's hit it right from the get-go.
They won't take my tip. Is it better? I guess you have to explain the difference to me. A real estate agent or a realtor? There's a difference, right?
So first of all, it's not a realtor.
No, I know. It's realtor.
Realtor, right.
I was reading and I got kind of hung up because I wrote bad, but I know it's realtor.
There is a difference. So I'm going to speak specifically to Georgia. I'm licensed in Georgia, and I'm not licensed in any other state. In Georgia, we are required to have a state license. The Georgia Real Estate Commission functions under the Secretary of State's office, and they ensure that we are licensed. To get a license is fairly easy. That's why everybody knows so many real estate agents.
Every third lady in the pew at church is a realtor.
Not necessarily a realtor,
real
estate agent.
Yes.
So a real estate agent, you take your class, you pass the state exam, you pay your money, you have a real estate license. You are licensed to transact real estate in the state of Georgia. Now, to become a realtor means you are becoming a member of the Georgia Association of Realtors. And the word realtor is trademarked. It's part of the industry association, and it's a voluntary association. It is a very big association, and it's one that has gotten mixed reviews in the news because of the troubles we've had with the National Association of Realtors. There's a national group, there's a state group, and then locally we have local boards. So
is it like that in every state, or is that just in Georgia?
I'm only going to speak to Georgia because I don't.
All, yeah, okay.
Right, exactly.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, it is similar in other states, but I can only speak to Georgia because that's where I'm licensed. And I want everybody to understand that any professional that you work with should be able to articulate the differences and should never overspeak to what they don't know. That's a key point with any professional. And in my industry, I think it's important for people to understand if you're talking with somebody who knows it all, knows all the things, to me, that's the first indicator because I've been doing this a long time. I study and train very hard to stay on top of the trends and what's changing in the industry. And I don't know it all. And I'm quick to point out what I don't know because I don't want to accidentally guide somebody with wrong advice.
Well, while you say you only know Georgia, the listener that's in the market for a home could easily be looking outside the state because maybe they got a new job in Florida.
Is true. Yes.
Or they got a new job in Montana. So they need to know that
They do.
They need to stick with not a real estate agent, but a realtor.
A realtor. And the reason that has value is the most important thing to me is that a realtor is voluntarily adhering to a higher set of ethical standards. We have ethics class that's required that we attend. And the ethics of a realtor...
Yearly?
Yes, yes. And there is required continuing education required on the state level, but the Realtor Association not only has additional training, but they have specialty designations. For example, I hold the designation for a seller representation specialist and a real estate negotiation expert. These are enhanced. I am an expert, Dave.
Yes, you are.
I have enhanced training. I have paid the money for the classes. I have studied. I passed an exam, and I stay on top of additional trainings as things change. So there are many different. You can find somebody who is a senior specialist. You can find somebody who is a graduate of the Realtor Institute. There are different levels of training. And when you voluntarily sign up to take these trainings, you're investing in your career. So when everybody thinks, oh, realtors make too much money, there are costs associated with running our business that includes.
I was going to say, when you put your own money up and you actually have to pay money, these aren't classes that I can just take online for free. When you put your own money up, you're more likely to be dedicated to that and to actually follow through and do what's needed to be done.
Yes, that is true. And you want to hire a specialist. For me, it's the ethical part. I've been vocal about it. When Jeff Ledford here was a couple of weeks ago, I'm very vocal about, I think the requirements to become a licensed real estate agent are too low. I don't think what you learn in the school is relevant to what we use on a daily basis. It teaches the foundation of real estate. In Georgia, the real estate law is based on Old English law. You know how to calculate the square footage for an acre. That is not going to help somebody today actually sell their home, and it doesn't necessarily equate to helping a buyer. In addition to that, the state classes to pass, they don't even touch contracts. The contracts we use here in Georgia with the Georgia Association of Realtors have been poured over by a panel of attorneys. People work together. They work very hard to make sure the contracts protect the parties involved. And if you're not a realtor, you don't have access to those forms, and you haven't even had an ounce of training in contracts to have a license.
Phone lines are open, by the way, at 404-872-0750. What you say is interesting, too, because when you take the class, I've taken classes and some things in the building area where they don't teach me what's in the book. They teach me where to find it in the book because it's an open book test. And if they're going to ask me about nail size, you don't need to know about nail size, Baker. It's all the answers on, page 8, section C, paragraph 2. So I'm not learning anything about nails. I can ace the test, but I'm not learning anything. But is it different with?
It's first it's not an open book test to get your state license, and neither is any of the additional designated trainings that we take. But worse than that is what you learn in your class to get your license. There are people who get their license and think that they are ready and equipped to sell houses and to help people. And to me, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to the public. And Jeff and I have this argument with people all the time. I like to argue.
No.
I think it matters that if the government is going to regulate our licenses, then they should ensure that what is being taught and tested is actually the things that protect the public. And I would like to see change affected in that piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So now I'm going to ask the big question. Question number 3 on my piece of paper. 3, why aren't houses flying off the shelves? See, I saved you 15 minutes before I got to the nuts. So
that's all right. So let me put on my economist hat and talk about the economy, the war, interest rate, all the things that are collected, and they are way above my pay grade. So we are seeing rising inventory, and I'm not going to try to answer why the economy is the way it is, but it is all symbiotic. So people are nervous about the economy, jobs, inflation, rates. All of that is tied together. We have a new Fed chair. Everybody is hoping he's just going to drop rates, but I know that he can't just willy-nilly say, I want lower interest rates, and magically everything fixes. So he's watching inflation, jobs, all the things. How that equates to real estate is we are interest rates have gone up over 6.5% in the last couple of weeks, and then they came back down. So there's some volatility in mortgage rates. That volatility creates some insecurity with buyers. Can I afford to buy a house? Additionally, the appreciation we've seen in housing over the last 4 years is now starting to take a toll. People feel like it's a high mortgage interest rate. They don't have cash to buy homes, so they have to get a mortgage. And then the actual cost of a home feels inflated, just like milk, bread, and gas feels inflated right now. So we have insecurity, and that's keeping people from actually taking action. We are still selling houses. It's just they're not flying off the shelves.
You just don't hear about it anymore. It's out of the news cycle.
Right. Well, we're seeing average days on market have crept from under 30, which is a healthy seller's market, to now we're 40, and in some parts of the metropolitan areas closer to 70. It just depends which community, and it is highly community specific at this point.
Location.
Always, yes. The fundamentals never change.
Yeah, I knew at some point you were going to drop back on that. And I wrote down here, don't just tell me location, but that's what it is. Deborah Morton, it's Inside Georgia Real Estate. I'm Dave Baker. I'm pushing the buttons and trying to keep her in line, which is harder than you may think. You're listening to 95.5 WSB. We're going to go to the traffic and see what's going on. Yeah, we should go back to work. We're talking about cookies. It's 1:23 on your Saturday afternoon. Inside Georgia Real Estate is on the air. Deborah Morton is here, being the expert, as she always is. Can we take a phone call?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Phone lines are open at 404-872-0750. Richard in Cumming has joined us. Richard, you are on Inside Georgia Real Estate. Richard.
Hello.
Hello. You're on.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Richard. What's your question?
Well, I'm curious what the difference between a real estate agent and a realtor and a real estate broker is.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. There are different levels. A real estate broker actually has the license, the training, and permission to be responsible for the transactions. The real estate agent is required to work underneath a broker's supervision. So, for example, I own the agency Atlanta. I am not the qualifying or managing broker for my company because I choose not to be. I don't want to be. Somebody has to be responsible for all of the compliance, the transactions, the behind the scenes, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure the money, the compliance, all the legal aspects are handled.
That's the broker.
That's the broker. The broker is responsible for every bit of business the salesperson does. So my Georgia license is a Georgia real estate salesperson, and I'm required to work under a broker's supervision because the broker is responsible for all the legalities that happen in the contract. So if you have an issue, this is a good public service thing. If you have an issue with your real estate salesperson or your realtor, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably for just a moment, both of those people will work underneath the direct supervision of their broker. So if there's a problem or a conflict, it will be escalated to the broker. And in a transaction where there's conflict, the brokers will step in and work things out instead of the salespeople. So it's an escalation process.
So when I say I want to talk to your manager, you'll put me with the broker.
The broker,
if I'm upset
yes.
with the agent,
yes.
I want to talk to your manager, then I'm talking to the broker.
And it is the broker's responsibility to make sure everybody working that we call it, I'm air quoting, hanging your license under the broker's license. that broker is responsible for the performance and the all the performance of the salespeople who are underneath them. So some of these large brokerages, like the virtual brokerages that exist, they'll have hundreds and hundreds of agents whose license is hung underneath the broker. My thought is, how closely are those salespeople being monitored by their broker for compliance purposes and for it's the broker's responsibility. But I didn't create the system. I just understand how it works. And I do see where there are some flaws in how the whole system is set up. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
It does. So the broker is more familiar with the legalities.
So there's additional.
Once all the I's dotted and the T's crossed.
That is correct. They are required to have additional training, more hours of training, and their continuing education will cover different pieces of education than a regular salesperson's continuing education class. We're all required to have. Now, also, you can be a salesperson and go through all of the broker training and not be the qualifying broker for the company. So we call those associate brokers. So like the designations with the Realtor membership, a salesperson can go through the classes, learn and have all the same education as a broker. They're just not acting in the capacity of the broker for the company. So you want to look for, when you're hiring an agent, you want to look for somebody with the most robust background, experience, skills, and training.
I got you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Are you an agent or anything that you want to, are you in the field?
No, I'm not,
okay.
But I know somebody that is, and he's a broker, and I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. Thanks for the call, Richard.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I like helping people understand what the how it breaks down. You okay, Dave?
Yeah, I pushed a button that hadn't worked in months, and it works. So it was kind of caught me off guard. Excellent. That was a great question.
It was.
So
yeah.
The broker is like the owner of the agency?
Not necessarily owner. It's a role they hold.
That's just their job.
So here's an example. If a salesperson makes a mistake, has a problem, a transaction, a client has an issue with the salesperson, they escalate it to the broker. The broker, if the salesperson's mistake is egregious enough, could go to jail because of the salesperson's mistake.
The broker is responsible.
The broker is responsible, yes. And
every
that's not
every house you sell,
right.
Has to go. The broker has to approve all the numbers on it.
Yes. And if something was done that is not above board, the broker is responsible for that. The agent is responsible. There's a level of responsibility there, but the broker is also responsible. And that is not why I don't hold that position in my company, because I don't like sitting behind a desk all day. I like people, and I'm out in the field with people, helping agents do their jobs all day long. And somebody who sits behind a desk and likes reading contracts all day long, that's a better position for them. It's
1:29.5 on your Saturday afternoon. The news is right around the corner. But I have some questions for you because I want to hear more about the HOA.
Yes.
That the government, whatever they're messing with.
Yes, legislature stepped in to help homeowners.
And I also have a question for you about squatters. You're listening to Inside Georgia Real Estate on 95.5 WSB. Inside Georgia Real Estate is back. Imagine that. Let's go till 2 o'clock.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm Dave Baker. I'm filling in for Shelley Winter.
And I'm Deborah Morton.
Deborah Morton, filling in for Deborah Morton.
Yes.
She needs no. You're always here. You're so good.
Yes. So we were talking about the differences between a real estate agent, a realtor, and a broker. And I think, and the state of Georgia, how license works, and additional training, being a member of the Georgia Association of Realtors, and all those distinctions, why it matters. Last week, I mentioned a story about a sales agent who used the wrong forms and inadvertently cost somebody their earnest money, because instead of terminating the purchase and sale agreement, they terminated their their brokerage.
Because you wrote the wrong forms, it could cost me. No, not you didn't do it.
Not me.
It could cost,
Let's clarify.
It could cost me, the home seller, money.
Yes.
Because my real estate agent used the wrong form. It cost me, the homeowner, the home seller.
In this case,
money.
it was the buyer. The agent represented the buyer.
Wow.
During the inspection period, the buyer wanted to terminate the contract, which they were within their rights to do. But the real estate salesperson used the wrong form to terminate. They terminated the brokerage engagement contract, not the purchase and sale agreement.
Ouch.
Yes.
Did they ever get that? Is that a lawsuit waiting? Is that?
We'll see what happens. It'll take a while to play out. But
I know it's not you. That was not Deborah Morton that did that.
No one with the agency Atlanta. No. Yeah, that is correct. So the reason I'm bringing it up is an attorney brought it to our attention, and it highlights the conversation we're having about education and who is actually monitoring the sales agents out there in the force. I'm sure it was a mistake. There are a lot of agents who don't have good oversight. You're independent contractor when you're a sales agent. So a lot of people are drawn to this industry because they like to be self-employed. They think that, flexible hours, it's fun. I'll run my own business.
Yeah, right. But
they don't actually invest in the training and education they need. And that puts the public in harm's way. And that's what I'm an advocate, and that's what I'm here preaching about. So from there, we are taking these conversations online into a digital, where we have a podcast on Apple and Spotify. Inside Georgia Real Estate has gone digital so that we can continue these conversations at a deeper level. And, you can nerd out with me.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot people don't know about.
It's an industry like any other.
I buy my house from you. I sign a paper. I sign 20 papers at the end at a big table, and hand over a check, and here's the key.
Right.
But it's not. My question with realtors is always, what was that paper I just signed?
Mm-hmm. And you should read the contract. In the case I just said, had the buyer read the contract that the agent sent to them, they could have discerned that, hey, wait, I'm not ending my purchase and sale agreement. I'm severing the relationship with my agent and the broker.
Oh.
So basically, she fired herself and left the buyer on the hook to buy a house they didn't want.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did the buyer buy the house at that point? Figuring
well, it's a quagmire. It'll take a minute to work itself
let's just
out.
Skip that. Then.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's go to my next question.
Okay.
Actually, I had two, but I think one sounds like it could be a long answer, and one with the short answer. So I'm going short answer first, so we can backload the show with the long answer. Okay.
Okay.
Squatters. Nothing irks me more than coming home from somewhere. I see people. It doesn't happen to me. And there's somebody in your house, living, using your stuff, probably eating off your dishes, out of your refrigerator, until the food, and they don't belong there. And I feel like they have no power. Not the squatters, that the homeowners have no power.
Fortunately, last year, the Georgia legislature passed legislation that actually gave law enforcement some authority to remove unlawful squatters from properties. Previous to that change, which I think was in early 2025, law enforcement had no authority. They could you could call them to the home. The squatters are there, but they could not forcibly remove them from the property because there was nothing written into the law, because it had never been addressed. So now the law has changed and law enforcement can remove people. But it had gotten so bad in Atlanta, it was a thing. Like, squatters knew, it happened more in vacant houses than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
They would get into a vacant house and they would just set up camp and stay there for a long time. Now they're easier to remove, but it's still happening. It's just on a much smaller scale than it was. One of my agents had a closing last week. People close on the house. They're so excited, get their keys, go. They had done the walkthrough the day before, the morning of. They get there and somebody had squatted in the house overnight. It was the craziest thing. We got them out. The house is repaired. We replaced doors, locks, all the things. But there are crazy things that happen out here because, it's a free-for-all in the world.
It is. It is.
It happens. You want to make sure at the end of that, like, how we handled it there is, we called law enforcement. We knew what to do and we did it, but it's something that is real. When we have vacant homes on the market, we have to be conscious of the fact that, it's our job to help make sure that they stay safe and protected, locked up and secure.
Yeah, that's just irritating.
Yeah.
And just the thought in your head that, oh my God, I know that I can take care of this, but just the steps I have to go through now to get this.
It's not as bad as it once was. Shout out to Devin Seabaugh and the Georgia congressman who put that into motion and got it enacted. I know law enforcement officers who would stand there and say, I wish I could help. But if they're not empowered to do so by the law, they can't.
Okay.
But Georgia is way ahead of other states now.
Really?
Yes. Yes. So that whatever you see on TV or on the internet now, Georgia has things in order.
I saw a TV show about that. That's what popped it into my head when I saw that last night. Okay. HOAs.
Yes.
I hate HOAs. My neighborhood, we have kind of we have a KHOA, kind of HOA.
It's voluntary. Yeah.
It is pretty voluntary.
Yes,
we put in $50 and that goes to keeping the front entrance mowed and cleaned and put up lights in the winter. But that's all. That's for the whole year, $50. Okay. But I hear on my show, which feels like 3 days ago. No, I'm just kidding. On my show, we have people calling and wanting to do solar power, for example. Oh, they won't let me do solar power in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
The HOA won't. It's like, really? It's your house. It's your property.
But they bought a home in a neighborhood with architectural standards. And if you fail to follow and abide by the architectural standards for the community that you agreed to, you would be in violation. Now, a lot of HOAs have those standards, and if you follow the application process, you can get an approval or a variance so that you can do it. But the reason HOAs exist are to protect homeowners' values.
I understand that. And to some degree, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want the neighbor with his washing machine on his front porch.
Right. And that's the purpose of it. You have local zoning has some effectiveness in making sure lawns are cut and their cars not parked on the grass and such. But HOAs there are some HOA horror stories to the point that legislation was needed so that if you have a disagreement with your HOA, there are limits on what the caps on what their fines can be because they could force foreclosure on people. Now, those instances are so rare and extreme. I'm not sure that the legislative piece that was just put into place correctly addresses the need. But I know that there was no place to go for help if you were in a grievance with your HOA. And there are cases of property management companies and some power-hungry HOA presidents that there was problems. My impression is that was more the exception than the rule. And this legislation now requires every homeowners association to register with the state of Georgia. And there's going to be a cost associated with that. And there's going to be a cost because you're required to file paperwork with your financials and your minutes from your meetings.
To have an HOA.
If any HOA, and if you fail to do that, you are no longer able to collect dues, to require dues or to penalize people. So it could blow up some homeowners associations that are maybe smaller or self-managed just because of the regulation requirements.
Or somebody doesn't pay attention.
Right.
I mean, I never even heard of that law until you brought it up.
Yes. That's why we do this
last
show.
Last week or the week before. No,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I never heard of that. And maybe if somebody else doesn't hear about it, all of a sudden my HOA's gone.
And exactly. You have a voluntary small, you got a less than 100 home community. And if people aren't on top of it, they don't know. They miss the filing deadline's not going to be till next year, but the word needs to get out that you are going to have to take action to register your HOA with the state of Georgia.
Yearly?
There's a annual registration. There's going to be fees involved, so there's a cost associated with it. Yeah. So did they fix the problem that existed, or did they just take a hammer to all of us? And I don't know. I don't write legislation. I know it was proposed several times. What passed is a step maybe in the right direction. Maybe it could be tweaked in the future to be a little bit more relevant. But what we don't want is a out of control HOA being able to foreclose on somebody's home because of a grievance, and there's no process to resolve that grievance.
No board to
Right.
actually listen to both sides, even though the HOA may have a board.
The
they're
homeowner does
side
not.
On the HOA.
Yeah. So if it just gets into a disagreement, he said, she said, the HOA has all the authority. Now there is a place for the homeowner to go have a process. Due process matters. So
that would be nice.
Yeah.
That would make me feel somewhat better. That
there's no good solution. Communities that have no HOAs, we tend to see such variety in the homes, and your neighbor's value impacts your value. And a lot of people want no HOA because they want to live autonomously without anybody telling what they can or can't do. But then when they try to sell and their homeowners, their value of their home is impacted by their messy neighbor, now all of a sudden it matters. So, you know, like you got to, there's somewhere in the middle is where the truth and justice lie.
Well, it's all good until, somebody gets their feelings hurt.
Exactly.
Or it intrudes on their.
Yeah. And it comes back to, I always try to bring it back to community. You live in a neighborhood, you can get involved in your community and impact change without the government telling you what to do or not to do. You have the power. Everybody has the power to go meet your neighbors, talk about what's right or wrong, listen with an open mind to what other people need and want, and then fix it yourself. You don't need the state of Georgia to tell you what regulations to have.
Yeah.
But people don't want to talk to their neighbors as much as maybe they could or should.
I think it's the open mind part that throws people for a
Oh,
loop.
that is true.
You're listening to Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton right here on 95.5 WSB. It's 11:48. No, it's not either. It's 1:48. I was only, a ways off. It's 1:48 on your Saturday afternoon. Let's go see what's going on in the traffic center, huh? $154 on your Saturday afternoon. Inside Georgia Real Estate on the air till 2 today. I'm Dave Baker, just hosting. I'm just here being the valet for Deborah Morton of the Agency Atlanta.
And I appreciate that, Dave. Okay. Let's see what this caller has.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. Let's speak to Susan in North Druid Hills. Susan, you're on Inside Georgia Real Estate. Hello.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I really like this show. It's very informative.
Thank you.
I have a question. I have a master suite, a daylight basement with a master suite. It's got a separate entrance. And I'm going to be moving my father into it. And what I'd like to do, it's a big space. Like just the main part is 12 by 26. And it's got a 7 by 9 walk-in closet and a nice full bath. And what I want to do, though, is I want to add like a little coffee station in there for him with like a little sink and a place to put a microwave. And so I'm going to need to, I can have it stubbed in for that very easily from the bathroom. So I need a plumber, but also I want to upgrade the electrical in there because it needs some more outlets. And I'm probably just going to have my electric looked at in general. I don't think I need a whole contractor for this. I was just going to hire a plumber because I've got a good plumber. I've got a good electrician. Do they pull the permits for that? I want to make sure this is all permitted and everything. How does that work?
I highly recommend you follow the correct route and get the permits you need. Fortunately, we have Dave Baker here with us today. It's good information. I recommend that you get a plumber or an electrician can pull their own permits. You can have a general contractor do the whole job for you. But I think you said you're calling from North Druid Hills. Highly recommend you get all their permits in order first before you do anything so that there's no penalty down the road.
I think if you're not doing much, if you're just going to put in a sink or something, reroute a little plumbing, reroute a little electrical, I think they would do the permits for you. I would certainly ask them up front. That would save a bunch of time. Just say, you'll pull all the permits, you'll do this and that. Have them come over, look at it. Okay. Even maybe a handyman. If it's not too big of a job, maybe a small handyman would be able to do that, and he would pull the permits for you.
I know when you go to resell the house in the future, somebody will ask if the work was permitted. Like that, it is important. And there's different parts of the metro area where people are more, it's more important to people. And where you live, it is very important.
If you don't, here's the thing. If you don't, sooner or later, you're going to wish you had.
Yes.
If you do, you may not have ever needed it. But if you don't, and this is the way it always works, somebody's going to go, is this permitted?
Yeah.
And then you would say that, and then they'll have to say no, and then you would know.
And we would have some buyers walk away from purchasing your home because it wasn't permitted. I think it's a great addition to your home. In-law suites and multi-generational living is the most asked for thing in the real estate market in our area because we're seeing more and more families. Due to affordability issues and longer lifespans, we are seeing consolidation of families living together. And
I
it's
gave you 20
thing.
seconds. You got 20 seconds left.
Hey, y'all, follow us Inside Georgia Real Estate on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Look for us. Send us a message, InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. I will answer all your questions. We've gone digital. We also have our weekly buyer webinar. We're going to hit selling and buying simultaneously this Thursday at 6:15. Go to InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com to register.
Inside Georgia Real Estate, Deborah Morton, thank you for letting me sit in with you today.
Thank you, Dave, for joining us.
You're listening to 95.5 WSB, where the news is 2 minutes away. Stand by.
How did you get your website to look like that? Mine's so basic.
Thanks. I just used Wix Harmony.
Sounds fancy. What's that?
It's Wix's AI website builder. You can just tell it what you want, and it builds you a whole site.
So it's like vibe coding a website?
Exactly, but even better, because you can still click and edit anything by hand. You don't have to use prompts for everything.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, try it for free at wix.com/harmony.